Hi, hello everyone! Today we are going to be rating the battle effectiveness of each one of the Sailor Senshi's footwear. This might seem like a little bit out of what your normal is for this channel, but I am shifting things over. If you're watching this like, where's the drag race stuff? There is an alternate channel that you can check out below. If you're wondering, where's the gaming stuff? It's also in an alternate channel. All of the appropriate links are below. Please make sure to go check those out. So let's get into this. Starting with the very first Sailor Senshi that we meet, all the way down to the last one. So for battle effectiveness, you need to be able to stay in your shoes. That is number one. You need to be able to fight in them. That's number two. And number three, they gotta look good. It's not really any part of battle effectiveness, but it helps. Now, Sailor Moon has kind of been the uncontested, most OP characters in all of anime. It's pretty much universally agreed that Usagi and friends could beat anybody in any series because of their ability to regenerate, to withstand extreme heats. They're able to withstand the pressure of being in space, unprotected. They're able to withstand great amounts of pain and not die or be severely injured. But how do some of those girlies stay in their shoes? So let's talk about this footwear. Starting out with Sailor Moon. I mean, this is probably the most battle-ready footwear that any of the girls have. All the girls that have the calf-high boots are probably in the more effective battle readiness. This doesn't hit the knees, so there won't be any impairment of when your knee bends. And that heel is really tiny. That's probably 2 inches, maybe. And it's a pretty thick heel, so while she's running, it's not gonna cause any grabbing into weird little crooks in the ground. There's always that one loose brick that your heel gets caught in and then your shoe goes flying. Or you roll an ankle and that's not fun. It looks like a pretty durable material. This is probably some type of PVC. It very likely will get scratched up, so it's gonna lose its fashion stability after a while, but I do think that it would fight well. The inside is probably lined so it's nice and warm, and that always helps to have nice warm toes when you're fighting crime. Next up, we have Ami Mizuno Sailor Mercury, who has pretty much the exact same type of shoe as Usagi does. The only really big difference is that there is a piping that's right above where that area spikes right under the knee. The heel is definitely smaller and chunkier. That's probably a 1-inch heel in comparison to Usagi's like sensible 2 inches she's got going on. I have pretty much the same statements to say about Ami's, except hers does look like it might be made of maybe crushed velvet. I'm gonna go in the realm that she would not have PVC. No notes. Next up we have Rei Hino, aka Sailor Mars. So I have one thing to say about these shoes, but the word that I want to say is going to get me demonetized from this channel. But what I will say is that it starts with the C and it rhymes with hunty. These are such fabulous shoes, but a pump while fighting the forces of evil is crazy. I mean, they're great shoes. These are not battle ready at all. If Sailor Moon and Sailor Mercury were at the pinnacle of what fighting crime was, I think Sailor Mars is somewhere on maybe fighting bad fashion. Because I mean, if a girl stomped up to me like this, wearing those shoes, I'd be like, I'm in no place to even come near you right now. You are gonna absolutely kick my butt. They're really cute shoes, really cute shoes. It's not really even covering that much of the foot arch. This is one of those tiny, like practically sandal heels. You're gonna fall out of these. You're gonna do one cartwheel and fall right out of these things. Although I don't know, I've been to Japan, I've seen those girlies walking around Tokyo and these pleaser pumps across those like sewer pans on the ground that have the little holes in them, and just walk by those with the utmost confidence, and I've not seen one of those girls fall out of her shoes. So who knows, maybe Rei has the ability to like harness all of her zen and put that into keeping her footwear on. I just don't trust those shoes to not fall off. One enemy knocks you out with the force of 800-mile-an-hour wind, and your shoes are gonna go flying off into some other galaxy. The sustainability of this footwear is very weak. Next up, we have Makoto Kino, aka Sailor Jupiter, wearing a little booty. This has some crisscross lace on it with the tiniest little bow that I don't imagine is actually the lacing. The crisscrossing is probably stitched into it. There's probably just a zipper and this is all aesthetic. A booty is fine for fighting crime. The heel is sensible for fighting villainy. The color is ugly, is the only problem. I mean, it matches her outfit and everybody else has matching shoes to their outfit, but the color of these shoes is ugly. And that's saying a lot because this is my favorite senshi. I think the boot is probably fine. I don't think there's gonna be any problems with this. Running around in a booty like this, it's gonna slowly start to chafe at the corners of your ankle. Unless you've got stockings that go just a little bit past where your ankle is at, that is gonna tear up skin. Now because Mako is kind of a sporty girl, I don't imagine that that's pain that she hasn't already felt, so it's probably not even gonna affect her. But I would say that this is kind of middle of the pack because the chafing, mama. Next up we have Mina Aino, aka Sailor Venus, aka Sailor V. You know what, say what you want about these girls, and I will say what I want about them. I think that they're fabulous and I think it's great that they're doing what they want to do, but fighting villainy in a strappy shoe is a definition of insanity that I can't even wrap my head around. The heel size is nice. This little Mary Jane on a 1.5 inch heel is probably not the most sustainable for fighting. It's certainly a little more battle sustainable than I think Mars is because she actually has a thicker heel on that shoe, where Mars is literally walking around on a stiletto. The problem here is the strap. I have walked around in strappy shoes before and all it takes is one bad trip and the under part of the shoe comes out, but the strap stays on, so you're walking barefoot, grippers to the floor as your shoe is hanging on for dear life, but they are not coming off. Having to bend over in the middle of, okay, hold on, I just have to put my shoe, I have to get the strap in. Ami, can you help me really quick with this? I think it's kind of lunacy that this girl has strappy shoes. That's all I'm gonna say. Battle readiness, very low. Actually, I'm gonna say this is lower than Mars is because if these shoes come flying off, it's very hard to get them back on. Because what happens is the shoe like contorts itself. It twists the strap and then it somehow turns around. And so then you're on the floor trying to twist your shoe back in place, get your toes in, or you have to completely take off the strap, re-put your foot in, and then re-tie the strap. That's just not sustainable for fighting. At least if Mars' shoe comes off, it's gone. She doesn't have to worry about it anymore. She could maybe go pick it up and slide it back on. That's an easy fix. This, that's not gonna happen at all, mama. Next up, we have Setsuna Meo, aka Sailor Pluto. We met Pluto in the second book. This is very similar to Usagi and Ami's shoes. I would say the boot is just slightly higher because these are not calf highs, these are knee highs. Just slightly under because her knee looks like it's just right above where that arch is. I will say those heels are crazy. That is easily a 5.5 inch. And I gotta commend her for being able to walk around in those all the time because Sailor Pluto is pretty much always in her senshi outfit because she's guarding the time door and the corner of the universe. So she's never in Civ clothes. She's probably so absolutely just withered away down in her toes that she can't feel anything by now. Imagine standing in 5.5 inch pumps for 1,000 years guarding a time door with no brakes, no PTO, no friends except one little pink-haired brat with a cat balloon. You got jangly keys sitting on your waist at all times and this giant heart key staff, and you have to wear 5.5 inch pumps with 0 vacation pay. That's crazy. I mean, just on the fact that she's been standing on those for 1,000 years, I'm gonna say that these are super inconsiderate boots to put her in because she's already probably tired. Miss Mama wants to sit down and relax. And then she's gotta go and fight a daimon? Absolutely not. Next up, we have Haruka Tenno, aka Sailor Uranus. She has a shoe that just goes slightly above the ankle. And I kind of roasted ankle booties earlier, but I think this one would be better because it's not going to be chafing that ball right on the end of your foot. This is not, I don't think, going to chafe anything because it does appear that there's some tapering outwards, which I like. This looks like it would actually be a super comfortable shoe. And it's maybe about a 3-inch heel, so it's not completely unsustainable. But it does seem odd considering that Haruka is very outside of gender binary, but then has such a pointy shoe. I do quite like the straps that are around this little booty. It's very fashionable in its own way, which would intimidate the hell out of me. I would say that this is fairly battle ready because it's a slightly better booty. It's not gonna hurt your foot, but that heel does look a little miserable. Next out we have Michiru Kaio, aka Sailor Neptune. We got another strappy shoe, but this one is more psychotic because that's a freaking pleaser, mama. That is a pleaser with 6 straps on it. Unless there's a zipper in the back that connects all those straps, having to lace yourself up like a mummy every time that you get into your Sailor Moon drag, the way your toes are bent at a 90-degree angle the whole time that you're fighting, your foot is fully at a 70-degree angle. Is this 70 or is that 80? Because she is kind of beveling in this photo, so she could be arching her foot a little more than what it's actually doing. The combat readiness of this is absolutely 0. This is the least combat ready. And she's got some pretty intense fighting that she does. I feel like she's kind of like quasi-support, quasi-control. But these shoes are not sustainable for battle because her toes are barely in that shoe. It'll take one trip and they're gonna pop out. And then she's gotta unlace her mummy shoes and relace them back up just to get back into the fight or walk around grippers out. Ain't no way. These are horrible shoes for fighting. Super fashion. Super that word that'll get me demonetized, but super fashion. And finally, we have Wataru Tomoe, aka Sailor Saturn. These are just barely a knee high. It's about the same scale as what a lot of the other girls have had. This is probably a little more in line with where Pluto's is in comparison to Mercury or Moon, who are just like maybe 4 inches underneath the knee. This is hitting right underneath it. I love the lace-up detail in the front. That's super fashionable. She probably has the most fashionable boots of everyone right next to Haruka, but I love this intricate ballet lace. It's so fun. It's very likely just aesthetic or to tighten it a little bit more because you can see there's the inside boot and then there's this flap that wraps around with the lacing in it. So this is probably just to give it a little more stability. So fighting wise, this is probably the more sustainable because you can control how tight your shoe is. The heel is a little maniacal. These girlies clearly know what they're doing if they feel confident in walking around in those types of heels. I would not trust myself to not wobble over like a giraffe that got their knee kicked out. I think the sustainability of fighting is probably about mid because you don't want to ruin that lace. That lace is nice. And that's probably why she has such a powerful attack move, so that she doesn't have to get directly into the fight. She can sort of stay off to the side and do what she needs to do, end the battle very quickly with very little effort. So she's really just to stand there, be pretty, and do her thing, very similar to like what Tuxedo Mask is doing. If she had to do up close combat, that would be a mess. And I'd worry about ruining my shoes, honestly. And those are my thoughts on the battle sustainability of every one of the Sailor Senshi. Let me know who has your favorite footwear in the comments below. Which of those shoes would you steal and put directly on your feet right now? Thank you for watching, and I will see y'all on the flip.